Okay, back again. This time I'm going to talk about the LMR 5.0 resto cluster for the Foxbodies. So I will show here. So here it is. I know it's hard to see here. It pretty much looks like the stock one does, except a few little minor differences. Let me turn the key so that I could turn the lights on. It'll be a lot easier to see. There you go. So I was talking in another video about this, the gauge here, the temperature gauge starts at 100 to 260 and the increments are a little different from the other one. So on this gauge, your normal temperature is going to ride somewhere around the O on the word normal. The speedometer works off of the vehicle speed sensor. There's no more cable, so that's nice. They give you a oil pressure sending unit. I want to say the coolant temperature sending unit is also different, and then everything else is just tied in behind the dash here. As you can see, I can set it to read digital tach RPM right there, and the other side will be the mileage. I don't know if it's gonna, but it says check engine right now because the key's off. But it's the key's in it. So here we go. So that's what it looks like, and I know probably with the video and the movement and the sound didn't match, but the tach moves really quick. You can set the tach speed too, like it could be a lazy tach or it'll move really fast. I have it set on as fast as it can go. I just think it's cooler. As far as the wiring goes for it, it's quite a bit, kind of, but it's all behind the cluster, and you got to kind of cut in your old plugs. The instructions, though, are very good. So it tells you what colors and which ones to splice in to your new setup, and then there's like a little control box, and then that actually plugs into the dash like with a phone jack looking cord, like an Ethernet cord, something like that. So you don't have you have a long thin cord that plugs into that, so it's no big deal. But the speedo cable's gone, and they give you a new temp sensor that is right in there. You see it with this newer plug right there, and then they give you a new oil pressure sending unit, because it's a different way, I guess it reads it, so that's just what it's got to be. So then you just run those. I have those, they go under the intake and into the old speedometer hole, so you don't need to find a hole, because since you remove the speedo cable from it, now you have a hole that you can use to run those wires through. And I am going to be adding fuel pressure gauge when I add these stainless lines. So I'm going to use that same hole to get the wires inside of there. So those are the only two things sensor-wise you got to add. And then in the floor on the driver's side, there is colored wires. There's a plug that comes from under the car from the vehicle speed sensor, and you just tap into those. Everything's colored and explained. It's pretty simple, but I'm not going to take the panel off, but it is right. It's behind this panel. There's a plug that comes from under the car that's got the vehicle sensor wires on it, and it will give you your voltage that you need for when the speed changes. So to set your speedometer, this is a cool thing, because then once you put this in there to set your speedometer, all you have to do is there's a button that ties in with the cluster that you press a button to set things, and so you press a button for the speedometer part. You drive 1 mile, and then you hit it again, and then it, sets the speed. And then from there, if you need to fine tune it, you can go back in and raise it or lower it in 1 mile per hour increments until you get it perfect. So if you want to run a GPS and check it, there also is another setup that you can just hook up a GPS sensor, and you don't even use the car sensor for the speed. I guess, that would be dead on, that way all the time. The odometer you can set, but you have to do it within the first 100 miles. I really didn't care, so I just left it. So it's at 225 miles on the OD. I would say for the look I'm going for this car, I'm looking to look like as stock as I can look, but not be stock. I think that dash was the ticket. I mean, I do like too, the tack goes up to 8, so, and the tack's accurate. So, when you're seeing 7,000 on the tack on your old tack, you might not even be at 6, because you're not, or you might be at 6, but the rev limiter comes in at 6,200, and if you're not feeling the rev limiter come on, and your tack says 7, you're nowhere near, that's like 1,000 off. So, I highly recommend it if you want like a stock look and functioning gauges that tell you what you want to know. Then that's the way to go without having all these aftermarket gauges all over the place. I really didn't want that. The only thing I did is by my radio, I got that one plate from LMR where you can put 3 gauges there. So I just have that, and that's all I'm gonna run. I'm trying to keep the interior clean. So that's all I have to say about that. If there's any questions, I don't know if I'm going to remember everything as far as wiring it, because I'm just glad that part's done, because that was obviously the longest part. I mean, putting the cluster in there was like nothing, and that's 4 screws. So the sensors too, I did those first, and those just go right on there, just like any other thing, the sending units, I should say. And tapping for the speedo in the floor, that didn't take long either. Just pull that one panel off, and it's right there. But no, they do have you, when you do it, they tell you to cut it and splice it in with the plug, like you're going to leave the plug there. I'm never going to put the stock thing in there, so I just cut them off and just splice them directly. So I don't plan on taking it out. And if anything ever happens with this one, I just guess I get another one, but I don't think anything will. But yeah. Oh, the one thing earlier when I turned the key, or I put the lights on, and the dash lights didn't light up, and I was like, oh great. So I'm doing a video on it and they don't work. I remembered now that only will come on when you have the key on. So you have to have the key on and then the headlights on, or else the instrument cluster doesn't light up. So it won't light up if you just put the headlights on only. Yeah, so that's that. And any questions about it, if I don't remember them right, I'll look something up, or I'll try to refresh my memory and help you out. All right, till next time. See ya.